It's actually 5:59, and I will call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Platteville. It is Tuesday, January 28th, 2025, and we'll start with roll call.
Ken Killian, I believe he's excused. Tom Knoll.
Here.
Lynn Parrott.
Here.
Kathy Cobb.
Here.
Todd Casper.
Here.
Barbara Doss.
Here.
Bob Gates.
Here.
And our first order of business tonight, I'm going to ask Dan Allen to come to the podium. Dan, you're one of our longest serving employees.
Yes.
Yeah, you guess. So this is recognition of Dan's 30 years of service to the city of Platteville and his dedicated service to the city. So I'll read, whereas Dan Allen has faithfully served the city of Platteville since 1994, and whereas Dan has shown his commitment to the city of Platteville during his 30 years of service by serving as an engineering technician 1, engineering technician 2, assistant to the director of public works, and water plant operator. And whereas Dan has served loyally and reinvented himself to serve the citizens of Platteville in multiple capacities over his career, and whereas Dan performed technical skills in drafting engineering plans and maps as an engineering technician, upheld community standards and supported contracting of the services for public works, and learned new skills as a licensed water plant operator, keeping public health paramount. And whereas Dan has embodied the spirit of public service by faithfully, diligently, and honestly executing his duties. And whereas Dan's professional talents have contributed to making Platteville a better place to live, work, and visit. Now, therefore, I, Barb Dawes, Common Council President, on behalf of the Common Council and city employees, both past and present, do hereby wish to express our sincere appreciation to Dan Allen for his dedication and service to the city of Platteville. Thank you very much. Because I think so you can't hear me. I said we'll have Ryan and Howard come up to get a picture too. In the meantime, I will invite the folks from UW Platteville who are guests here. I don't know who's speaking, if it's Chancellor or if it's others. We'll get Ryan completed his task here of photographing the family. Thank you very much. And again, Dan, thank you for your service to our community.
Go for it.
Go for it.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy coming and speaking in the community and interacting in a way that's meaningful. So I just wanted to give an update from the university. And I want to start with, I always talk about I set goals for the university. And so I'll just give a few updates on some of the goals that we set. One of those always is around enrollment. And I will tell you that enrollment is something that we pay attention to probably all the time. We're always projecting it. We're always trying to figure it out. One of the things that's making it a little bit difficult to project our enrollment this year, and it's not a bad thing, is that the universities of Wisconsin added a direct admit program. And we always project our enrollments in a couple of different ways. We always have a conservative enrollment projection, and then we have an optimistic enrollment projection that we recruit to. Direct admit increased the number of students available admitted to the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. And so the amount of students has kind of gone like this, which makes it a little bit harder to predict our enrollment. And so the closer and closer and closer we get to fall, the more we'll understand about what our enrollment projection is going to be. But we keep a very close eye on that. John is somebody that keeps a very close eye on that, because what we do with that number when we project that enrollment and submit our budget for next year is we budget to that conservative enrollment projection. And if we do that and we hit those at least the conservative, we don't want to just hit conservative. We want to go further than that. But if we do that, we'll always balance our budget. So it's something we pay attention to all the time when it comes to enrollment. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll give you an idea of how many students are going to descend upon this great city next fall. The other thing that we paid attention to, and I'll just say very briefly, is we balanced our budget, and we will continue to balance our budget. Right? Let's just do a hard stop there. Like I said, as long as we continue with our operating principles around budget, we'll be just fine. We'll be healthy. We'll be sustainable, and we're proud of the work that we've done to make that happen. We are in the biennial budget cycle, as many of you know. And I just want to thank all of you who have advocated for the universities of Wisconsin. When we're healthy and when we have the resources that we need, it's good for this community, it's good for this region, it's good for this state. So thank you for that. The other thing that I would let you know is that we're looking to start a comprehensive campaign. So the one way that we can control our own destiny outside of the budgeting process and enrollment is we can fundraise. And so we are looking at starting a comprehensive campaign. We're in the feasibility phase of that. So we're trying to figure out what our goal is going to be and what we can work toward. But that's something that's ongoing as well as one of our goals. The other goal that we have is around wellness. And I talk a lot about it. And it's one of those goals that's very hard to quantify. But I think it's important. When I talk about wellness, it's not just campus wellness, it's about our community and our region. And wellness is something that's complicated. What means wellness to me may not mean wellness to you, and other people have different definitions of it. But we're going to focus on that. And there's 8 dimensions of wellness. If anybody wants to understand what comprehensive wellness means, you can ask me. I do know what the term means. I was asked that once. And then finally, we're here also to talk about a strategic plan, and that's mainly what we want to talk about tonight. John Dunning is with us here tonight to talk about it. He's led our efforts in that, and I'll get to that in a bit. The other leader that I want to introduce tonight that's with us is Janice Steinmetz. I'm going to ask you to wave at least or stand up, something like that. She's our new Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, comes to us from the Department of Administration, worked there for 28 years, 26 years. What? Okay, 28 overall. And I would just say she survived 5 governors, right? So she must know how to keep her head down. But she comes to us with a wealth of experience, and we're thrilled to have her with us. She's also a UW-Platteville alumnus, so we're welcoming her home. So we're thrilled to have her here. John's with us, and I'll introduce John in just a little bit. My Chief of Staff, Bridget Wallace, is here as well. So she's on her phone, keeping track of stuff all the time. But she's with us as well. And so that's somebody that is very important to making sure I get to all the places I need to get to. But let's talk about the strategic plan. So one of the things that I said about 1.5 to 2 years ago is that when we come out on the other end of some very hard decisions and some of the things that we need to get done, I wanted to have a plan ready for us to have a vision for the future. And so I'm proud to launch, and we launched it yesterday in a celebration, but I'm proud to talk a little bit about our strategic plan, which is a 6-year strategic plan that we started. Like I said, we started the process 1.5 years ago because we wanted to have a vision for the future. And we wanted it to be inclusive in a way that we wanted everybody involved in the planning for this. And so I'll talk a little bit about how much effort we put into that. But I also wanted it to be data informed. And if anybody knows me, you know that I really like to be data informed. And I also didn't want it to be a plan that represented just a couple of voices, maybe the ones that talk the loudest or the most often. And so in order to do that and make sure that doesn't happen, you have to go out and listen, and you have to listen hard, and you have to take the time to do that. We sent out a survey, had 2,200 responses. We had over 28 listening sessions, 2 in the community. We listened and we listened, we listened. We went out to campus, we went to faculty senate, we went to university staff senate, we went to academic staff senate. We went and we listened, and we came out with a plan that I'm so very proud of. And one of the people that led that effort was John Dunning, who's our assistant chancellor with a really long title, so I won't go into that. But he led our strategic planning efforts. And part of what's really important about this is there's people in this room that served on a task force in the strategic planning process. And we also had a steering committee that involved a lot of different people. And so it was an inclusive process, meaning we wanted community members to chime in. And so as John talks about it really briefly here, I ask that you find your place in our strategic plan. How does it fit into the planning that you're doing? How does it fit into how we can partner together? How can we help you? How can we serve you? One of the things that I'm really proud about the University of Wisconsin-Platteville is our hands-on experiences that we provide our students. So let me give you an example. We have senior design projects. And our engineering students or in senior design go out and they do projects for their communities. We want to lean into that. We want that to become even larger and bigger and more impactful. So as we talk about our strategic plan and how we want that to happen, I invite you to find yourself in it and see how we can help you. Because again, if we're doing well and our students are doing well, the region's doing well, and we want this to be something where we're working together. Together, we will go far. So I'm going to let John talk for just a few minutes and then we'll get out of your hair and you can move on. John Dunning.
Thanks, Chancellor. I want to begin with just a really heartfelt thanks to some individuals. As Chancellor said, we established a task force. We really wanted that to be a broad representation, not just of the university community, but of the community writ large. So Barb and Kathy served on that. Thank you so much for your time and engagement. Clint was on it. A number of other names that you all will recognize. Abby Haas, Ella Kodke was on it, Jason Wood, Jim Babel, Sheila Rukti, Wayne Woodards, and folks were at 2-hour-long meetings, ad nauseum, I think, over and over again, making sure that we were getting the voices heard and we were getting the message correct. So thank you so much for all of your engagement, all of you that were involved. Thank you for representing this group and the city of Platteville. We asked about 18 months ago, I think, for your partnership and participation in the development of this plan, and you stood up, and we appreciate that. So for those of you that have a copy of the plan with you, I think you folks have it on your monitors, on your displays, I believe. For those that don't, we'll put this screen on the big screen. It is not easy to read at that distance, but we'll just walk through it. And we're just going to stay on the table of contents. I want to point out a few things. It was really important for us not only to set tangible goals for the university, and we'll get to those in a bit, but to identify what the values of the university community are. I think that's a critical part of doing strategic planning. You can always set goals. You'll move toward goals if you track your progress, and that's absolutely critical. But our values tell us how we're going to get there and what paths we're going to take in the accomplishment of our goals. So that's critical. We identified 5 values that came out of that process through the university. The first value is people. We are a university of people, and we are a community of people writ large. Yes, we have buildings. Yes, we have infrastructure. All of that is important, but it's the people that make a difference. The thing that really caught me about Dan's award tonight was the phrase, he reinvented himself. And we are organizations, the university and the community, that assist people in the process of doing that. And that's so incredibly important. Access and success. We're a regional, comprehensive, public 4-year university. That means we're not quite open enrollment, but we are awfully close to open enrollment. So that means our mission is to make sure that students have a chance to attend and succeed. And we are very serious about that work. And that's really important. Innovation is a value for us. We are a STEM school, after all. And for us, innovation means making practical solutions to real world problems. That's something not only that we do, but we believe passionately in. Sustainability is important. We have one of the largest solar arrays among higher education systems in the nation. But we're not just talking about environmental sustainability here. We're talking about the sustainability of our human capital, of our employees, of our students, alumni, right? We're talking about the sustainability of our financial environment. We have been here for 150 years. We're going to be here for 150 more. And it's our job as custodians of that to ensure that that happens. So we're serious about that work. The last one is stewardship of place. And this one is near and dear to my heart. We are the only public four-year institution literally grounded in the bedrock of the driftless. We're the only one. It's our job to help take care of that. And just as we are grounded in the driftless, we are also grounded in the city of Platteville. This is our roots, right? So as Chancellor said, this is a symbiotic relationship. And we hope if we do our job well, that UW-Platteville is part of your foundation as well. And that's what we strive to do, especially with the input that we had from all of you. So thank you so much for all of your input in that. So we get to the things that we're going to do, right? Our strategic objectives. What do we want to accomplish for the next 6 years? First and foremost, transformative teaching and learning. And the response to that can be kind of, well, duh, you're a university. Of course you should do that. But the reality is that, as Chancellor said, we went through about a year where we were focused on some pretty tangible brass tacks stuff, and we had to be, and we got through that period. It's really good to see education at the top of the list, and the return of that focus for our university is so critical. Achieving optimal enrollment. Enrollment is a huge mission driver for us. That's why we're here, obviously, but it's also a financial impact, and we recognize the symbiosis of the financial impact for the community as well. So we are going to continue, as Chancellor said, to focus on that, to work on achieving optimal enrollment. It's an interesting time to be in higher ed with the demographics of the Midwest in particular, but we keep our eye on those numbers, and we are constantly trying to innovate and, as Chancellor said, recruit to our optimistic projections. How can we make sure that we're creating the opportunity for all the students that want to be pioneers? Enhance operational excellence across the institution. This is sort of my passion one. I love process automation and how do we do things better. There are areas of our work that need to be done by human beings because we need to interface with each other as people. And then there's a lot of other stuff we do that we can get more efficient at. And so we're really focused on identifying those things and achieving those efficiencies so that we can focus our human capital on what we do best, and that is relating to each other, educating each other, and transforming people's lives through education. So that's super important. And then the last one, and this is not just Chancellor's passion project. One of the things that really blew me away in the strategic planning process as we listened and we listened and we engaged with stakeholders is that there were a lot of things that came up through the grassroots conversations that met the existing institutional goals, and none of those was more evident than wellness. This is really important to the university community. It was important to the members of the task force. It's important to the community writ large. And what I thought was beautiful about what came out of the conversation from the university community was that this is not just we want to keep students, faculty, and staff well, right? It was we want to partner with the region to figure out what wellness looks like for all of us. And what role does UW-Platteville play in that? How do we partner with the community in that endeavor? The community of Platteville specifically, the community of the broader region as well. And that came up out of grassroots conversations. That was sort of a passionate area for a lot of members of the UW-Platteville University community. And I think that's really refreshing. So we don't know what exactly that looks like yet, right? We got 6 years to figure it out. But what we do know is that we're going to want to really, as Chancellor said, partner with you all, listen to you, figure out how we can help and how we can work together to raise the wellness level for Southwest Wisconsin, starting right here in Platteville. And that, I think, is going to be really exciting work. So one of the things that Chancellor says a lot is that we are not going to let this plan sit on the shelf. And we are not. Tomorrow, we start piloting a new process for university leadership to evaluate projects and initiatives. We are spending 6 hours doing strategic planning prioritization. If you see somebody tarred and feathered on a horse riding fast out of town tomorrow night, that would be me. Somebody please come get me. But I'm really excited, and I think we've got a lot of enthusiasm from the leadership team. We are piloting a process. We've never done this before. And so we're going to be looking at not just what things do we want to do, but how do we align the things that we want to do with the strategic plan? How do we align our funding? How do we align our efforts? How do we align our priorities? And the idea here is that we're going to have sort of a continuous feedback loop, right? So that we can input new ideas as we go along. We can evaluate those against existing priorities. We can sort of test their level of connection to the strategic plan and make good, sound decisions that are data informed and move the university forward. So this creates, I think, opportunity for us to gather ideas from all sorts of places, including all of you. So we're going to start that tomorrow. I'm excited about it. I hope other people by the end of the day are equally as excited about it. We'll find out. But really want to wrap up by, again, thanking you. It's been, I think, 18 months since we first talked. It's been a great journey. Time sort of blurs when you're doing strategic planning for that long, but it's been a really good path. And thank you again so much for your involvement and your critical voice in the process. We appreciate you.
Thank you, John. I could ask if anyone on the council has any question of either the chancellor or John. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. And we're going to move on with our agenda. You're of course welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to depart. I would believe that would be true. We'll move on then in our agenda to the consideration of the consent agenda. The following items may be approved on a single motion and vote due to their routine nature or previous discussion. If you want separate discussion, please let me know. We have the council minutes from January 14th, the regular meeting. We have payment of bills, appointments to boards and commissions. Tonight I have 3. I'll be appointing Michael Walsh to the Commission on Aging for a term, a partial term ending July 1st and then probably taking a full term after that. The Tourism Committee, we had a university representative all the time, and I have a new university representative, Christine Belport, and the Water and Sewer Commission, Michael Knautz. So those are the 3 appointments tonight. Licenses, 1- and 2-year operator licenses to serve and sell alcohol, as were in your packet. We have several permits, a banner for the Platteville Farmers Market from April 16th to October 25th, with pauses within that to allow for other banners. Then we have street closings. These are all with the farmers market. North Bonson Street along City Park and East Mineral Street, from North Bonson to North 4th on Saturdays 6:30 to 1, May 3rd to October 25th. Irving Place from Park Place to North Bonson Street, North Crawford Street, and North Bonson Street between Main Street and Irving Place for the alternate farmers market site for the Dairy Days and UWP Homecoming Parade and Sweet Treats on Main events. And then Irving Place from Park Place to North Bonson, North Court, and North Bonson between Main and Irving Place for Platteville's night market on Saturday, July 19th. That would be from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. The other item in the consent agenda is a slight amendment to the emergency services agreement. It was the addition of providing a minimum of 30 days notice to other parties if the city decided to discontinue or transfer dispatching services. So it was addition of a 30-day notice. Any questions, or is there a motion?
I have a quick question, Barb.
Okay.
The, as far as the, farmer's market, they have
Hit your microphone.
can't hear me, sorry. They would also, like to seek approval of fees waived for the use of the City Park gazebo on the same dates and times as the street closure. Has it been verified that what about the other events that take place through the summer? I mean, I know the chamber has events in there in the morning, couple of days, has that?
And there's weddings sometimes.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I would have to check, Kathy. Sorry, I don't have that information, but
I would just be
I'll
concerned
follow up
about
with that.
approving that across the board if
correct.
there's
There's
conflict
already
in the
scheduled
gazebo.
events.
Yeah, I guess that isn't truly part of the permit for closing of streets. So I would think that should come as a separate item. Okay, so if there's if there was if people thought that it included the reservation for the gazebo, I think, Bob, we need a separate form on that, not as part of a street closing.
Sure, I'll follow up.
The advertisement here was a street closing. It wasn't, and a banner permit. It wasn't about a gazebo. So with that change, if there's gazebo information in there, we'll just be acting on street closings and banners. All right, now do I hear?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with that change.
I second it.
Okay, Colette will vote.
No,
Yes.
Parrot,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, next on our agenda is citizens' comments, observations, and petitions, if any. I've had no one from the public register to speak, but I do believe Clint has something he would like to report on.
I do. There's two documents on your desks here tonight. I'll kind of read off the one here that relates to the other. The recent memorandum of the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, the M2513, which is executive office from the Executive Office of the President, temporarily halts the obligation and disbursement of federal funds for certain programs, including grants and loans, while a review is conducted to ensure alignment with priorities outlined in the new administration. For Platteville's fire station project, this pause may or may not impact the timeline for advancing or distributing any federal funding, including our obligated CDS grant, and that's our congressionally directed spending. At this time, we are awaiting further clarification from OMB regarding when the pause may be lifted. We hope it will be resolved before we need to proceed with any disbursements for the new fire station project. The local share portion must be expended prior to having access to the designated federal funds, which may or may not be until 2025, late 2025. At present, we will continue with the course, and we anticipate releasing bid document for construction next week. We did also receive then correspondence coming back from Representative Van Orden's office. The language that had us very kind of aggravated at the front comes to you on the executive order, the second paragraph on page 2, where it states, in the interim, to the extent permissible under applicable law, federal agencies must temporarily pause all activities related to obligation or disbursement of all federal financial assistance and other relevant agency activities that may be implicated by the executive orders, including but not limited to financial assistance for foreign aid, non-governmental organizations, DEI, woke gender ideology, and the new Green Deal. It's our understanding coming from Van Orden's office that what they're hearing from the administration is that the but not limited to language, which makes it sound terrifically expansive, is very light on that, and the intentions are to focus on the specified ones that are read thereafter. Madam President.
Okay, so I guess we will await further development. I, of course, have a bit of nervousness about letting bids and accepting bids if we don't have assurance that we have $14.5 million. At this point in time, we would have 7.5.
Yes, that'd be correct math. On a brighter note, fire facility, we're anticipating bricks, commemorative bricks, to possibly be available throughout the day tomorrow. I would say hopefully by close of business. They have moved bricks towards Lewis Street on that off-street parking area, but they're in large sections right now. So they're hoping to bring out a hydraulic hammer tomorrow and try to break them into smaller
bricks.
pieces.
Smaller pieces. Okay, well, we'll see how all of that proceeds as we move forward. Reports. The reports in your board packet. There was a Parks, Forestry, and Recreation Committee report. Bob, Anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Community safe routes, Tom,
Nothing to add.
and the museum board, Tom.
Nothing to add.
Okay, we have one action item tonight. That's the planned unit development for Park Place Assisted Living, 1015 Elm Street. Joe.
Yes, thank you. So back in 2006, Elder Span Management received a plan unit development approval when they acquired the former Southwest Health Center property, and they converted to basically a multi-purpose housing and services for the elderly complex. So fast forward to today, they're looking at doing an expansion of that facility, specifically the assisted elderly living portion, which is the southernmost portion of the building closest to Camp Street. So they would like to do an addition onto that building. Actually, it's really two additions. They would do a 7,700 square foot expansion of the building to the east, closer to Smith Park. They do a 5,900 square foot expansion to the west towards Elm Street. And then they would do some additional interior remodeling of part of that wing as well. So the addition would provide 13 additional housing units, bringing the total to 39 units. And as I mentioned, the dining activity kind of storage areas that are there now would be remodeled and impacted a little bit as well. There would be no, well, the addition areas are both into areas that are currently undeveloped. They're just lawn areas now, so there'd be no impact to any other facilities on the site. There would be no modifications to the driveways or access to the property, no changes to the parking provisions for that facility. So strictly just building additions. I think the design, I've got the information from the architect in the packet. Essentially, from an appearance standpoint, it's going to extend the appearance of what that building looks like now for the most part. So obviously, there's would be an impact from the budget standpoint to the city as a positive from the increased taxes, but no other direct impact to the city. So staff sees no concerns with this proposal. We would recommend approval. The Plan Commission also reviewed it and recommended approval. And we've got two representatives.
Two representatives, you
here.
guys want to go up and introduce yourself and tell us anything more you'd like to have us know?
Good evening. My name is David Baum with Architecture 2000. I'll be the architect for the project, and it was a very concise report. There's not much more for us to really say. With me tonight is David Griffin. He'll be the operator of the facility and has been operating it for
16 years.
16 years. So we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I am thrilled that looking to expand. I have personal experience with the facility, and it's absolutely top notch. And it is, you've been a wonderful community asset and something that is very much needed. So very appreciative of your willingness to carry on and make the community even better.
So David, I would just say that I remember working with your dad when we had this originally and created we had a TIF there. And that was a very successful TIF and closed. And I think it allowed for some improvements on the east side that needed to be made. And yeah, and now I so enjoy going up when I go to the playground and seeing the number of residents that come from there and either walk or sit on the benches or what. So I agree. It's a very, very well run, very pleasant place to be. So, yeah, good,
We love Platteville very, very much.
good.
I do have one additional question I received from the community. If you could comment a little bit on the anticipated construction schedule for the project.
So we're looking to break ground in the spring, and we're looking for a 6 to 9 month construction window. So probably the end of the year or next spring, we'd be occupying the full building again.
Okay, thank you. And do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve an amendment to the planned unit development at 1015 North Elm Street to allow the construction of an expansion to the Park Place Assisted Living Facility.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Kathy and seconds by Bob and Lynn in unison. Colette will vote.
No.
Yes.
Parrot,
Yes.
Hop,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Doss.
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
motion carries.
And here, when I thought Kathy was speaking, she was going to say she wanted to reserve a room.
I would. I will eventually.
Eventually, yeah, eventually. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the only action item. We have information and discussion, update on aquatic center request for qualifications.
Madam President, as we talked about at our last meeting, we have a request for proposals that went out to architect engineer firms for them to engage with us on potentially designing a pool. Let me premise that heavily though with when we say designing, we're really looking at just a phase one. We're not trying to get out ahead of a referendum and going through a whole lot of detailed type of a work. What we're trying to arrive at is a schematic drawing with a schematic budget on a concept that we feel is going to fit the community's needs, and it's going to cost this much, and we're going to be taking that in conjunction with a referendum in April so that folks can have a visualization on what they're voting for and have an understanding of the costs associated with that. As part of that, we've had an extensive process, which I will defer to Director Robert Lowe to help explain on the many steps we've taken and where we're at in that process, if you would please, Bob.
Certainly. Thank you. We started publishing this in December, and then we were hoping for 3 engineering firms. We actually had 5 submit. We had an open house before the submission deadline. We assembled a panel just to review all the applicants, and I put the panel participants on the staff note for you. But we have now limited it down to 3. We interviewed the 3 finalists, and now we have also created some additional questions, and we sent those out. We are waiting for the responses now, and we anticipate actually putting all those responses together by tomorrow, and then we're going to review those as well. So it's been a nice, thorough whole process, and the applicants have been very good, very pleased with that. We should have, Clint will be submitting the final proposal to you by next meeting, I think, right, Clint? That's our goal.
Very pleased with the panel. I'd like to thank Bob for putting those folks together. The questions that are being asked and considered are not only technical. We are a heavy engineer panel with 3 of those folks having engineer backgrounds, but a lot of questions too that are involving community engagements, community inputs, community ideas, and a flavor and understanding for the needs of the city. So thank you, Bob.
Okay, any questions for Bob or Clint on the review process for the RFQ? Bob?
My question is, when it's presented to the council in 2 weeks, it will be for action for the council to, that you have offered the position to?
Correct. We're planning on bringing a contract forward with a recommendation. If the council is not comfortable with that, it could be deferred for further conversation. But with a compressed timeline that we have and trying to have these folks get a schematic drawing with some community and public engagements and such, and to be able to turn that around and have some drawings for us in preparation for April, the days and the weeks are ticking by quick.
And I just want to reiterate, it's just for stage 1 is what we're contracting. Well, now, obviously, stage 2 and stage 3 are being considered in that contract, but you would only be contracting for stage 1 and with a clear, no obligation by council for stage 2 or 3.
Okay. Further questions? Okay. Then I believe that brings us to the end of our agenda. So I believe I just need but one more motion.
A motion that we end the program here today.
End the program. There's a motion to end the program.
I'll second to end the program.
We'll have a second to that too. Thanks, Todd. And now Colette will vote on adjournment.
Noel,
Yes.
Parrot,
Yes.
Hop,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes,
Gates,
Yes.
motion carries.
and thank you all.